Okay, this is question 4 from the 2011 exam. We need to write down the first tableau of the simplex algorithm and then point out the entry that we would pivot on. The first thing to do is look at the problem and see if it is in its canonical form. If not, we need to rewrite the problem in its canonical form. We can see that in this case we only have one constraint that it's not in its canonical form. That is the second constraint, and we're going to rewrite it in its canonical form. So we are going to multiply that by -1, and we're going to have minus 3x1 plus 4x2 is less than or equal to 6. Now the problem is in its canonical form, and we can introduce the slack variables. We introduce slack variables in order to turn the inequalities into equalities. So we're going to have x1 plus 2x2 plus s1 is equal to 4, and then we're going to have minus 3x1 plus 4x2 plus s2 is equal to 6. And now we can write the first tableau. First we're going to write our variables x1, x2, s1, and s2. And then our basic variables will be s1 and s2, which are the slack variables. So now we're going to put the coefficients into the tableau. We have 1, 2, 1, 0, and 4, minus 3, 4, 0, 1, and 6. And lastly, we rewrite the objective function as z plus 5x1 minus 7x2 is equal to 0, which we input in the last row of the tableau. So we have 5 minus 7 and zeros. Now we need to point out the entry that we would pivot on. In order to do that, we look at the last row of z, and we want to find the biggest negative entry. In this case, we only have one negative entry, which is minus 7. So that means that the entry that we're going to pivot on is going to be in the x2 column. And then we need to look at the ratio of the resource value over the value of this column and find out which one is the smallest positive entry. And that will be the entry that we would pivot on. So here we have 4 on 2, which is just 2, or 6 on 4, which is 3 on 2. So we know that 3 on 2 is smaller than just 2, and hence we're going to pivot on this entry of the initial tableau. And that is all.